chase it back and get some cash.
If I got it, you got it.
If I got it, you got it.
If you love it, I love it.
If you love it, I love it.
I don't really want problems.
No, I do not.
It's all above me.
It's all above me.
I heard you be talking.
What is you saying?
It's all above me.
It's all above me.
Not even watching.
Right.
Right up above me. If I got it, you got it. You love it, I love it. It's all above me.
It's all above me.
If I got it, you got it. You love it, I love it. It's all above me.
It's all above me.
I don't want no more problems.
No, I do not.
It's all above me.
It's all above me.
Not even watching.
Gotta be watching.
Right up above me.
Right.
I had a problem with y'all favorite rapper. He did something fake to my kin. They let it slide, so I had to glide, cause I wasn't feeling your mans. I just be feeling like all of my peers be acting like I don't exist.
Right.
But all of my fans say I don't miss. Like I ain't had 2 number ones. Like I ain't just win me a dub. Like I ain't look out for my blood. Honestly, I'm feeling numb.
Cause they ain't been hip to the plug. It's dope, I ain't talking the drug. It's easy to kill. A rapper with buzz. I'm not in the OJ. I never wear gloves. I only drink water. The wave is enough.
The wave is enough. But like I play for the Suns. They see me with bread, acting like I ain't just get it from crumbs, beginning to feel like I'm done. Think I'm ready for early retirement.
And I thank you for joining the channel, Amani.Upendo.Wellness. As always, I do pray that the Lord has been keeping you in His perfect peace and love. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, like and share this video. Stay connected with me on social media. The link is in my bio there. I just wanted to connect with you today and share a word, an inspirational word. The title of this message is Patience is a Virtue for a Reason. So for me personally, a part of my healing came when I understood that, with regards to patience doesn't mean, I think sometimes when we think of patience, we think of, even for me, like I feel that sometimes, patience refers to you kind of being in the dark about something. You don't know what you're waiting for. You don't know how long. You're just kind of told, to stand there. Like if someone tells you to go and do something, you're not even sure what the outcome is going to be. And it just feels a little weird because, there's uncertainty, right? But in reality, when you have patience, it's about having peace and it's about having stillness. Knowing that regardless of whether you do know what's on the other end or not, that God is in control because God is watching, right? You don't need to know, a lot of the times for me, I think back and I wonder, why did someone say this to me? Why did they do this? What was the reason, the purpose behind it? You don't necessarily need to know what was said or why, right? But understand that there's purpose in your patience. There's purpose in your patience. You may not understand, for example, when we read the Bible and we read about the children of Israel and how they just came out of Egypt. Now, I believe there is a part of the Bible where it goes into a little bit of detail that says, if they had gone into the promised land immediately coming out of Egypt, there was war going on over there. And so had God allowed them to go directly into the promised land, there was a war going on. And so they would have ended up being like, wiped out or close to being wiped out, right? Because they would have walked into the middle of a war zone. So again, the purpose behind them going around, although they were disobedient, the purpose behind that was also to preserve them and to preserve Israel, right? Because there was a war going on. And so had they gone in directly, it doesn't mean that He would have still let it go on for 40 years, right? But had they gone in directly, they would have walked into the middle of a war zone. And so the importance of patience is understanding that there's purpose behind it. You may not understand it. Even me, sometimes I realize that, there are certain things that happen and they're really frustrating to go through when you're going through it. You can imagine the disciples on the boat in the middle of a storm and just having to sit there like still and pretend like, nothing's going on. Like, it's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy at all, but I'm just encouraging you to really just rest and be at peace in that place as Jesus was in that boat. Because you have the power to speak to that thing. You have the power to speak to that storm and understand that there's purpose behind it. You just maybe don't see it, right, at the time. There's value in your patience. There's value in your patience. Besides, being patient and allowing God to come through on your side, even as a human being, I mean, having patience and having that, it really just develops discipline in your life, right? And that's a great quality to have, to be able to be disciplined. I'm not going to eat this now, I'll eat it later, right? I'm not going to do this now, I'll do it a little later or not at all. I'm going to refrain from this, I'm going to do that, whatever it is. It shows that you do have a certain level of discipline in your life, and there's value in that patience. And most importantly, the patience is really, when you choose patience, when you choose patience, you're also choosing life. Another reason to choose patience, because when you choose patience, you choose life. Death equals consequences. It doesn't always have to be, when I say life or death, it's not a physical life or a physical death, but also just, death in terms of like the consequences that you'll reap from a situation where you're impatient and you're rushing and you're upset with God is, death and consequences. You'll reap the consequences of that. Versus choosing life and choosing patience and choosing to just be still. It doesn't mean that in that stillness, it's going to, be a smooth road. It may be a bumpy road with a bunch of potholes on it. But, it's about choosing life and knowing that although maybe you're going through something on that bumpy road, maybe, just maybe, there was something else that you weren't able to see, like the children of Israel. And, maybe you're being shielded from something else. I encourage you today to really just choose life and choose patience. Patience is a virtue for a reason. You may not feel the value in it. You may not see the purpose in it. But I encourage you today to always choose life, because death happens when you go based on your own understanding, and when you lean on your own understanding and things. The consequences you reap are that of death and destruction. People of God, I thank you for tuning in today. As always, I do encourage you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. I'm so grateful for all of my followers. Connect with me on Instagram and social media. But above all else, stay blessed.
It's all above me. Gotta be watching. Right up above me.
Right.
Yeah, I'm reclaiming my time.
I'm taking back the recline, in and out from the mud. Shots flying, I would duck. I was 9 with a 9 at lunch. Clips fall, I was grinding tough. Hits hard, I've been writing too much.
They should put me in the Hall of Fame. Something wrong, I'm the boss to blame. I ain't going out like B. Simone. Plagiarizing, this is me alone. Best man, me alone.
West End, I just moved up the road.
Left hand, she won't leave me alone.
Voicemail, she keep ringing my phone.
Even telling me I gotta